Hello everyone, my name is Jacob Peroni and I'm here to present my information technology innovation on the Netflix streaming platform. A little background about Netflix. It started as a DVD mailing company, a subscription-based DVD mailing company, and at that time, that was how it differentiated itself from other entities such as Blockbuster. Blockbuster was one of the biggest DVD rental companies ever in that time period. And instead of having for consumers to have to go to the physical store and spend all that time browsing through what they wanted to take home and watch, Netflix decided we'll have our consumers go through, choose what they want to watch on our website, and we'll mail it to them. You have the courtesy of doing it in your own home, and that was really big. So Netflix also didn't have late fees, which Blockbuster was infamous for. And you didn't have to always go back to the store, return it, and then all of a sudden you're here with the late fee because it was supposed to be back 2 weeks ago. With Netflix, at that time, you could just go order your DVD, they'll send it to you, keep it as long as you want, watch it as many times as you want, and then when you're ready for your next one, you just send it back, and then they'll send you the new one. It was very simple for that time period. But looking in the mid 2000s, the DVD media as a whole was starting to decline. And this being what Netflix was primary source was, they decided to try out the direct streaming. And in 2007, they launched it in independent region as a trial service. Well, coming from that, Netflix saw that it actually has very good promise to be the next big media platform. And in 2010, they stopped it as a trial and sent it to the United States as a full service streaming. And this direct streaming, you can do it from your computers, your laptops, tablets, even smart TVs. And that became their big primary source of their service, of being Netflix. So what also happened in 2010 was, I mentioned Blockbuster being their biggest adversary. Well, Blockbuster went bankrupt in 2010. And that opened up the market for Netflix because now they just launched this new innovation of this direct streaming. And now there's no company there to rival them in the beginning. Blockbuster's gone. There's nobody else big at that time, so Netflix has this prime opportunity to really cash in and on this innovation. And you'll see that if Blockbuster didn't go bankrupt, they would still be neck and neck with Netflix, and maybe even be bigger than Netflix. But right now, we see Netflix as one of the premier streaming services available. So what Netflix did to achieve this is they used the Python programming language and Amazon Web Servers. So the Python programming language really gained a lot of traction and became a very good general purpose programming language. Netflix uses Python throughout the whole content lifecycle. So from everything from security automation to their recommendation algorithms and everything in between there. Netflix really, really likes Python for its simple syntax, and it has very good readability. When the engineers need to go and fix a problem, they're able to really do so quickly, and that really helps when something goes wrong. You can find the problem and fix it right then and there. They use Python to run their what they call the Open Connect CDN or Content Delivery Network. That is what you're going to see when everything after you click the play button on a title. So once you click the play button, the media player, everything else is run by the Open Connect CDN. Everything before that, though, is run through the Amazon Web Service. And they hold everything like the consumer data, the catalog that Netflix offers for content, and everything in between. So when you open up Netflix and you log in, that's run through the Amazon Web Service. When you browse their catalog, that's done through the Amazon Web Service. and they have this interconnectivity between Python, between the OpenConnect CDN and the Amazon Web Service, to where once the plays hit, OpenConnect takes over and it runs everything else. It runs what's going to come up next, and the whole media player as a whole. So Netflix really likes this because putting the media player and the OpenConnect system closer to the end user really cuts down on their costs. It also cuts down on costs for their partnered internet service providers as well, which is a huge thing. So they're saving money by doing it this way. Now, taking a look at the competitive environment right now, a lot of it comes from the rights holders of content. So when you see the Marvel superheroes shows and movies on there, they're actually owned by another company. Netflix essentially rents them out from those companies through a contractual agreement, and they hold it on there for a set amount of time that was agreed upon. And once that time's gone, those are sent back to the rights holders. Well, now content offered becomes a really big issue because other companies that own the rights to this content are seeing the success Netflix has with the streaming, and now they think, okay, we can go do that too. So I mentioned the Marvel superheroes. Well, those are owned by Disney. Disney has become a big streaming platform called Disney Plus, and it offers not only Disney animated movies for children, Marvel superheroes, Star Wars is another big one, and all of that could have been on Netflix, or maybe wasn't on Netflix at one time. But once that contractual agreement went up, Disney pulled it and put it onto their own streaming platform. And you'd see that a lot. Other big competitive companies like Paramount and HBO created their own streaming services. So consumers that really like HBO could go to HBO Max. They get all their HBO movie content, as well as their own HBO TV shows that they're creating now. And the same thing with Paramount. And you can even see a big change in one called Hulu, where they started off offering TV shows. Well, now they're streaming live TV on their subscription service. So the environment, which once was dominated by Netflix, now has a plethora of competitors. And what's really difficult is, how do you differentiate your service from these other services? And the way to do that is providing original content, and that's what Netflix has had to do. Now, looking at it from a consumer standpoint, what do the consumers have now? Well, now, before we used to get it all in one place. Now there's so many options. We have to pick and choose. What are we going to go for? What content do we like that we want to watch? And we have to go and subscribe to that streaming service to get that content. Now, you could have multiple streaming services. You could have Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu if you like, but it's all tailored to the consumer. You have to now make a choice instead of getting everything all in one. You have to make a choice of, what do you feel your money should go to this paid service. Well, you also run into multi-company conglomerates, if you want to say, that, in a sense, Disney owns Hulu. It also owns ESPN, by the way. And now Disney can go and say, hey, I'm going to offer a bundle of streaming services for a set price. So now you as a consumer, you see that, you're thinking, okay, I get all of what Disney has. So what Disney Plus has, which is the Marvel superheroes, the Star Wars, and the Disney animated movies. You're getting Hulu, which has your TV series, all the TV shows and live TV if you want, and ESPN for sports. And so you're getting all that in one package. So they're almost bringing back the whole package, but it's still not everything that you had before. So that is another option in this new environment that's being offered. And you'll see that a lot with companies in the streaming services. The more that they can offer to consumers, they think the more likely those consumers are to get that product if they have some kind of content that the consumers want to watch. So how did Netflix organization implement this? So some critical success factors that I felt were necessary was the content offered. So in the beginning, they had a lot of rented out content and just a very few amount of original content that they kept. And I feel like that's one of the big factors because it all boils down to what does your consumer base want to watch? Do you have things on there that they like that they're going to want to keep paying the monthly subscription fee for? That's a really big, I feel is a really big success factor is do you have what your consumer base wants to watch? Another one is the usability of the interface because if you have a hard to use interface, it's very difficult to get to what you want to watch. Odds are consumers aren't really going to want to use it that much. So if you keep it simple and organized and make it intuitive for their users, you're going to have users that stay and want to keep using it. And then lastly, the personalization of service. So Netflix allows you to create different profiles. So you can have one profile that is really into drama and crime genres of content, and another profile for another family member that maybe likes, anime or kids television. So you can personalize like that, but also personalization is in the recommendation engine, where you go through and you select what genres you like. So that way you're spending more time watching shows and content rather than browsing shows and content. Because if you're paying for something but you're not actually watching it, there's a disconnect. Because you're spending more time just browsing instead of actually watching the content. So you're not getting your full money's worth in that sense. Some risks that Netflix really should watch out for is obviously losing content, which was a big thing. And that can really be mitigated by creating original content and creating original content that your consumers want to see. Customer retention as well. You got these customers in now with this content. How do you keep them there? And a big thing with that is again original content, but it's original content that the consumers want and like, and that's how I feel that they can keep those customers there. And also maybe still renting out content from other companies if they're willing to do so. And then another risk that I saw was how Netflix enters new markets. Right now, Netflix was really big in North America, in the United States, Canada. Well, going into new markets like in the Asia Pacific region or the Middle East or even Europe, how do they mitigate those areas where English isn't the dominant language? It's not the primary language that those people speak. So how do you mitigate that? Well, subtitles helps. So now we can watch our shows. They can watch it and they can see what's happening, even though they don't know English as a primary language. They can read it in their own subtitled language. But also, how do you deal with their culture? Some things in Western culture isn't as acceptable in Eastern culture or other cultures. So how do you mitigate that? How do you differentiate your content with that? And Netflix has really done a good job with that. They've researched, what's big in that culture, and they won't display all the titles like Western titles have. And they'll keep everything different to represent those cultural beliefs and values. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for watching this presentation and listening to it, and I look forward to watching and commenting about everyone else's. Thank you.